So you're talking about how you're basically destigmatizing cannabis for some people, at least locally, and then just thinking about it from more of a general perspective. As a cannabis dispensary, federally, you're limited in what you can and can't say or do. From an advertising perspective, locally, you're limited in what you can and can't say and do. And I know you've been pretty conscious about how you're presenting Greenpoint as a brand to people from the inception to now. Can you just talk a little bit about that, of how you had to kind of maneuver through some of the red tape, if you will, to just simply offer your product to people?
Being in the restaurant and nightclub business, you could advertise any way you wanted to, and it was much easier to promote an event or promote a night or promote your own club. This here is a struggle because the restrictions. We can't pay for newspaper ads. We couldn't pay for radio. We can't be on TV. Google, Facebook, all the marketing tools that you normally would use. We're so restricted, and we had to learn about how restricted they are. I mean, we got punished a couple of times by Facebook by saying the wrong thing on there. So it's a struggle.
What do you think the next few years look like for just the industry as a whole? Do you think federal legalization's coming? Do you think it's something that just might not ever happen? And what does that look like in your opinion?
Well, the way our government is right now, I'm going to say it's federal government's not going to. They're just going to leave it alone right now and ignore it because they have a 280E rule in effect. It's just federal government makes a lot of money off of this.
Sure.
We're
When
not.
is that? So that the scales tip at a certain point. You think when this 280E, you say?
Yeah, but it would have to be federally legal for them to drop that. If they would just decriminalize it, it would drop from a schedule, drop the schedule down.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, marijuana schedule is the same as heroin
Mm-hmm.
and cocaine. So, I mean, but each state has realized that there is a medical purpose for this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, eventually it's going to go adult use where anybody can come purchase it.
Sure.
But, what I found in the past that the people that I know that have smoked it most of their lives don't even realize they were using it for medical purposes.
Sure.
And didn't even realize
Sure.
it.
I mean, that's just the marketing limitation. What about the financial implications? Like, from what I understand, you can't really put your money in a bank, like a standard traditional bank, or has that changed now where you can actually work with certain local partners?
That's changed.
Okay.
Yeah. I was, prior to me opening up, there was a bank that came online, in Annapolis, Severn Savings, and they took on all the cannabis companies. So pretty much every cannabis company in Maryland went to Severn Savings.
Gotcha.
So
they just figured out the loopholes to make
it was nice
work.
to have all the money put into a bank. It's very, it's much more controllable. I couldn't imagine having cash and having to pay people cash and keep track of cash.
But it's all cash, right? I mean, it's
all
not cash, yeah.
It's all cash,
Yeah.
but it's all, there's POS systems.
You
there's
take
tracking.
debit cards as well, or
We do not take debit
Yeah.
cards yet, but we're working on trying to figure out a way to take them.
I mean, people can't spend their own money the way they would typically do so. It's just kind of a crazy
No,
thing.
no
But
credit cards. Eventually, someday you'll be able to use credit cards as well. Eventually.
I have seen there's like a payment thing for Maryland dispensaries or something. It's is it Can Pay? You ever heard of this? I don't know.
There's a bunch of them out there. We're just trying to sift through them right now to see which one fits the best.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be a little hesitant with these different companies popping up. Saying, "Oh, we do debit cards. We
Sure.
do debit cards." Just like ATM, machines all popping up everywhere, and everybody just got into the ATM business.
Right.
The debit card business is
Right.
the same thing right now. Everybody's trying to jump in on the tail end and take part of the market.
ATM machine wise, you guys see any decent revenue out of that, or how does that work?
We get a small percentage of it.
Yeah,
and
but most people come with cash, knowing that they need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the ATMs, they're not ours. We don't want to be responsible for filling them,
Sure.
breaking. We just want to do what we do.
Gotcha. So like on an average day, if you had a way to calculate an average on a year, how much cash do you think goes through on a daily basis, weekly basis, whatever you're comfortable sharing?
I'd rather share how many people today come through
Yeah.
the door versus How
But
much,
like,
how much
I guess
money
like
comes through the
armored
door?
vehicles come and collect cash from this place and take it to your bank in Annapolis, right?
Armored vehicles
Yeah.
come here every day.
Because like, you know, us and probably 97% of the other businesses in the world, it's all digital. Like we don't see anything. Everything is completely automated. Credit card, somebody's credit card ACH goes in, goes out to payroll. We don't physically see cash. Haven't seen cash. So this is one of the few industries that I think cash is still really, truly king. So it's just I think it's intrigued a lot of people. Like, how does that actually work? And that there's this image of somebody with suitcases of cash, and it kind of feels like that's kind of what's
I mean,
what it is.
like nowadays, if we want cash, I got to write a check and go to the bank and cash it. And when I go to the bank to cash a check, they want to know what it's for.
Right.
I'm like, oh, I'm going fishing.
Right.
And I leave there thinking to myself, well, why are they asking me what I'm doing with my own money?
Sure.
Which is kind of scary.
Absolutely.
So,
Probably a reason not to use the credit cards.
yeah,
too.
I'm going fishing. I need some cash.
What's your best seller out of all your products? Because I know you have a lot. I mean, even here we can see you guys are featuring quite a few.
Well, the past 2 weeks, the brand Snoop Dogg is on fire. We got it in and put it out on the counters, and it's sold pounds and pounds of it the first 2 days.
Is it one strain or is it multiple?
Multiples,
Yeah,
but
just the whole product line.
and they licensed with a company here in Maryland, which is SunMed.
SunMed, yeah.
And it's just exploded. We have a sale on it this Friday coming up. And we know, and the staff already knows we're going to be busy because of it. And I guess, he's branded himself incredibly. So, and he hasn't hid behind getting high for forever.
That is his brand.
Snoop Dogg is
Bob
been
Marley,
out-
Snoop Dogg.
He's been out front on this thing way before anybody else was.
Absolutely.
So he's got a brand.
Sure.
And he has a flower that's coming out, and it's a hot item.
Do you find consistency across every consumer, every age, every kind of person about a certain kind of product that appeals to most people, or is it really everybody's got their own kind of thing that they like?
Everybody's really got their own choice of what they use. Flour is probably about 65% of our sales. It's starting to shift now that more edibles are coming out, other alternatives. There's tinctures that you put under your tongue that have been developed by a doctor. So there's some real research going into this stuff. It's not just, taking some marijuana, sticking it in an oven and baking it down. There's science behind this. Everything in this room that has the name cannabis on it has been tested by a certified lab in Maryland. So you have a lab report, you know exactly what you're getting.
That's excellent. I think we need to get some overlays of like Newtonian kind of equations on there post production. You showed me something that was really interesting. I don't think it's out here, but it was like a bottle of Pepto-Bismol essentially that was just pure THC. What is that?
It's a cocktail, and the lid of it is a measuring cup.
Okay.
And some people just that's their choice of the way they want to take it, and they just pour themselves a little in a cup and take a shot.
But it's like super potent, this stuff,
It's
right?
potent,
You can take a little bit and
it's potent. You'll learn. You'll learn.
Yeah,
To sip.
you'll learn the hard way, I guess. Yeah, kind of like these brownies you were telling us about
don't
too,
drink
right?
a whole shot.
Exactly.
Sip on it.
Have you seen any kind of crazy behavior from people? I think some people have the reefer madness kind of idea locked in their head, and they think cannabis dispensary, or like I went to Amsterdam, and I think people have this notion everybody's stoned in Amsterdam, which they probably are, but like it's not a big deal. It's just part of their daily life. It's so destigmatized. It's just nothing. Have you seen any kind of crazy behavior because it's so new? Cannabis is so new in Maryland.
Have you ever been around somebody that bothered you from being intoxicated on marijuana versus alcohol?
Many more of the latter.
Yeah, because everybody that's high is really calm and laid back.
Right. They just come here forget to get the cash or
Exactly,
something, right? But
yeah.
nobody's coming in here causing a ruckus, essentially.
It was
That's
a
going to be a
car
nice change.
accident. It's
Yeah.
a car accident because his foot slipped off the brake and he drifted into somebody.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Drove into a hydrant at 7 miles an hour.
Exactly.
No, but that's going to be a nice change for you. It sounds like the nightlife scene was just, it burns you out over time, right? And you're dealing with crazy people and just cleaning up messes constantly, right?
You got nightclubs and you got bouncers and you got security and you got the door cover and you got the bands. There's a lot of moving parts of that. And of course you got the marketing and you're trying to put 500 to 1,000 people in a room and have everybody have a good time and get home safe. there's a lot of moving parts.
Sure.
Versus having a cannabis store and, having really educated people that work here that have experienced cannabis, and everybody at this store uses cannabis. And when you look at how long they've been using it and you look at their personalities, you realize that they were smarter than we thought. They figured out an alternative to help themselves. And the fact that they can buy it now legally and know exactly what they're getting is amazing. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing.
Do you think that we're seeing a seismic shift culturally towards people looking at, and we're talking recreationally now, if and when it gets there, but like people looking at marijuana and other drugs? I know mushrooms are now legal in Colorado, and like we're seeing these alternative medics to alcohol and to other traditional drugs. And do you think we're seeing a conscious shift of people that are moving towards things that are medicinal potentially in nature to like just balance themselves out, or do you just think it is what it is? It's just a new thing and a new option for people that would have never had it before.
I personally believe the pharmaceutical companies do not like cannabis being legalized in states because I think it hurts their industry. An alternative in the cannabis industry is, Ambien. Okay, cannabis or Ambien, which one you want to use? You want to take a gummy or you want to eat Ambien? I mean, it's addicting. It's the same thing as Xanax. You want to take a bunch of Xanax throughout the day, or you want to just take a hit off a joint. It's what would you like to do?
Do you see other types of drugs being decriminalized or at least being available to the public in Maryland, or do you think this is such a big leap for the state or for the country, for that matter, that we're still kind of treading water here?
I think it's a big leap for the state of Maryland, and I think they just need to stay right where they're at right now. I'd love to see it go recreational, adult use, just to give everybody else an opportunity to be able to get it. And it's very complicated to get your card. Registering with the state, calling the doctor, getting your certification, coming in, your card expiring, us turning you away, calling the doctor back, getting back in touch with the state. It's very complicated. And when adult use cannabis comes, then everybody can come in, and there's going to be a lot of people that come in that don't even use it, that are just curious and don't realize they can come here now and learn about it.
Sure. No, especially if they just flew into the airport, which is pretty darn close.
Yeah. I mean, we're right underneath the.
Yeah. Well,
runways.
Having gone out to Vegas, the past couple of years for concerts, conferences, and the like. I mean, it is a part of your tourism now. You go to Vegas, you stop at the dispensary, and go about your business. So
when you jump in an Uber, and the first thing you say to them is, "Can you take me to the closest cannabis store?"
Exactly, because it is such a big deal. We haven't been able to do it. And we were joking before, like. It's literally like drive up and down Reisterstown Road and go to like 7-Eleven on the side of the road and like risk your life to get really crappy weed. And like the fact that you can legally walk into a business and get high quality product that is safe, that has been tested, that you can ask a bud tender about what the properties are, what the benefits. I mean, it's a game changer. And I got to tell you, I know it's complicated for some people, the MCC side, but I got to give them a shout out because it was the easiest thing I've ever done in the state of Maryland is registering to get my cannabis card. I mean, paying a parking ticket is more difficult. I'm trying to get a permit right now to build a deck in my backyard. You would think like simple things are very, very difficult here, but this is becoming, I think, more accessible to people. And I think the notion that it is so hard and I have to go through all these hoops to get my card, if you have a medical reason to do so, is very difficult in Maryland. But even here, you guys will help people sign up, right?
Yeah, you can come here and we'll do everything for you, and we'll register you. We'll put it all together for you. We got a group of doctors we'll recommend to you. Here's a list to call from. We're not allowed to tell you to call a certain doctor, but we have 6 or 7 of them that are really good at what they're doing, and it usually takes a year ago it was taking 6 weeks, 8 weeks, sometimes 3 months. Now it's down to about 3 weeks, which the state's doing a really good job with it now.
Are you getting from your people or colleagues, I guess more on the government regulatory side, are you getting the sense that it's working, that what we're doing in the state of Maryland is working, or are people still very kind of trepidatious about what this means?
I think the state's done a great job.
Yeah.
I mean, the cannabis board right now is probably the best it's ever been. Very easy to deal with. If you If you message them, they respond right away. The group that's there right now that's running this forward is a really good group.
How's the I guess collaboration between you and other entrepreneurs in the cannabis industry? Is everybody pretty much in this together, or is it still pretty competitive in that sense?
I think the Maryland-based companies are all kind of trying to stick together, but when you get a lot of the out-of-state companies that are coming into town, I mean it's open to everybody, but we stay a little bit more connected, just because we're all new in it. The big guys that come into town, they've been doing it for years, and we've had to adapt and learn from one another.
So for somebody who wants to get into the cannabis space in Maryland or anywhere else, I mean, what advice would you have for them? How do you get started if you don't necessarily have the experience or the connections that you were lucky to have coming into this thing?
I would suggest to start going online and reading a lot about it and just learning. If you want to get into the industry, it's possible. You could, if just you. It depends on how much work you're going to put into it. I don't ever like to tell anybody that they can't get it, and I don't think anybody should think they can't. I mean, you got to move forward and find out what you need to do to get it. I mean, we didn't know there was 835 people that applied for license in Maryland, and we were one. Well, it was 102 licenses issued. When they made the announcement, there was 835 people, and we applied, and it cost us about $75,000 to apply for a license. I didn't think that was very good odds for us. I thought I made a major mistake.